Hi, this is Jeff, the Big Hairy Dog. This is a webinar from Big Hairy Dog about Phenom Promotions. So our outline here is installation, the promotions, and the move list. So let's take a quick look at installation. Installation for this plugin, and it is a plugin. If you browse into your Retail Pro 9 folder, you'll find the RPro Prom folder, okay? In there, you'll find an RPro Prom DLL and an RPro Prom MNF. So to install it, basically, you're just going to copy these two files. And you're going to go up one folder and down one folder into plugins. And in plugins, you're going to paste. Now, these are already there for me. So they're going to come up and say that they're already there. I'm going to say skip, because they are, in fact, already there. Now, once you copy those files in, okay, step number 2 would be to register the DLL, the Dynamic Link Library, into Windows. So here's your RPro Prom DLL. So down here, actually, I'm going to wipe this out and redo it. Just because there's a trick here that I want to make sure everybody sees. So REGSVR32, right? Space, and then left click and drag the file into that, and it'll complete the path for you, which is nice. Now, we need to register this into Windows, which you may need to be an administrator to do. So if I click OK, you may or may not be successful. This was not successful, right? So click OK then, and click back down, type in run again, get your run box back up, take that phrase, copy it. This is kind of a trick, right, that we do. And click down here and search for CMD, which is short for command, right? And then right click that and say run that as administrator. Now that's kind of a way of bypassing some low-level security, right? Now in here, paste, Control Victor, or you can also right click the top and say edit and paste, right? Or you can just do Control Victor, which is also very handy. So if I paste that in there and press enter, you see it was a successful, registered successfully into Windows. So that basically installs it. Now the next step that you would have to do is you would need to go back to the RPro Prom folder. This is actually the module right here. I should probably close it, in fact. Let's not do that. Let's go back to here. Let's close this for a second. Come on, you can do it. Thank you. So if you right click and drag this over to the desktop and let go, it should prompt you to make but you guys have made, and my VM is running a little slow here. So we're just gonna take a pause and let it spin its little wheel for a minute, right? But once you make the shortcut, what we're gonna do is we're gonna edit the command line or the target path. Okay, cancel, whatever. Okay, so we right click this and drag it down. You see how it says create shortcut here, right? I know I already have a shortcut, right? It's right here. I'm gonna right click the shortcut. I'm gonna go into properties of the shortcut. Now, if this is the very first time you've ever done this, what you're gonna do is just put a space / fix DB, fix database, right? Then click OK, and then double click this. It'll do nothing. It'll just spin like that for a second. And then right clicking and take that out. Go right back to properties and just get rid of that. That's a one-time thing that you would do when you very first set it up. Then you can go ahead and launch it and sign into it. So that's roughly how to install it, is you just move the files over so that they're read. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you launch Retail Pro, the very first thing it says is loads. So it says loading plugins loaded, then it continues to load Retail Pro, right? So I don't know if you've seen that, and my Retail Pro on this virtual machine takes forever to load, so I'm not going to be doing that today. But this is the promotions module. So the V9 promotions module includes different promotional packages, right? So so let's get in, and so we installed it, we moved the DL, we registered the DLL, we copied the files. We have not done this, so we probably should do that. And then let's talk about our different promotional types, right? So in here under options, yeah, you do have to turn it on right here. It says enable the promotions plugin, and if you don't turn that on, it will be a problem, right? We probably should buzz through a few of these other ones real quick here, right? The debug level is very handy if you're troubleshooting, but I would not turn this on. It'll pop up and show you a little log upon entering Retail Pro every time. Inventory field to use for storing quantity, weight, discount. It's defaulting to aux1. I'm totally fine with that. Customer field to use for customer list info1 is the default here, and that's fine. That ties to this customer pricing thing, which we'll talk about in a second. Inventory field to use for excluding items, pick one. aux6 is fine. Value that you'd put in there is no discount, right? So that enables you to exclude items from the promotions module if you want to. Haven't used that one a great deal, but you could. If you wanted to say everything in this department is going to get promoted except these two items, you could just go put no disc in aux6 and they would be excluded, right? Receipt item field to use for storing the manual discount. Item note 5, fine, good. That's good. Puts the promo name in there for you and stuff like that. Receipt field to use for storing manual discounts. POS flag 3, fine. That's such a rare exception that you even use that feature, right? Price decimals 2. I mean, most of us don't go down unless you're a gas station. You're not going down to 3 or 4, right? So apply a promotional discount to original price or item price. Probably item price, but it could be original price. Depends on how your configuration is, right? I'm going to leave it on. For me, it's the same actually, so it probably doesn't matter. But I'm going to leave it on item price. This down here, this disable automatic promotions, is for people that have a lot of items on their promo, right? If they have a lot of items, what happens is it evaluates the promos as you scan them. And now, most of the time, we love that. We all love real-time discounting. I mean, who wouldn't like that? However, if you have a BOGO and it's buy one get one half off, and you got a $50 item and a $10 item. Okay, well the $10 item goes half off, right? Not the $50 item. But then you add a $20 item, so the discount moves to the $20 item. But then you add a $40 item, and the discount moves to the $40 item, and then the 10 one goes because the 20 and the 10 are paired, and the 50 and the 40 are paired. So you see how the discounts are hopping around with every item you add. When you get to 50 or 60 items, okay, that becomes like 45 seconds or something, right? So that starts to get ridiculous. If you're doing way too many items, then what you want to do is you want to say disable the automatic discounts, right? Apply when I perform an automatic promotion processing when I click the tender button, and just do it once at the end, right? That's what these are for, right? We're to turn these off. We don't need them. Ignore manual discounted items. That's probably not a bad thing. Always validate entire subtotal. If you're doing subtotal stuff, like there are discounts you can build that have to do with if you buy $1,000, you get $250 off, right? But your subtotal has to get to $1,000 before that engages, and it's a transaction level discount, right? Need confirmation after plugin in memory. I have no idea what that one is. I have not played with that one, and I'm not going to speculate. I certainly can look it up if somebody were to email me and ask me. This is just which price levels you're affecting, and they default to 5, and most of us aren't using 1. So discount order. So this is important right here. This is the order they process them in, but more importantly, I would have you notice that one of the boxes is not checked off. So if you do not check that box off, you do not enable that promotion. So and the subtotal, like the promotion I just talked about, reach $1,000, get a dollar amount off. That is a subtotal BOGO. That is what that is. So if you don't turn this on, ixnay on the subtotal BOGOs, right? Because they won't activate. Schedule and import, not much going on there. This is just when months, when seasons start, and I haven't even played with seasons in here. No one's ever asked me for that, oddly. And there's an import export function, which I have not played with a great deal either. All right, so we're going to click update, save that, and we're going to start talking about these different types of promotions. Okay, so this one here, customer pricing, is kind of like a customer list, where you would list out items like I've listed some items. I tried to get ready for this ahead of time, right? I listed out some random items, and this is a scrappy sandbox database. There's nothing good in here, right? But anyway, I've listed some items out, and we've given it a name, right? And then what we would do is we would have to put this name, as it said in preferences, we would have to go put this name on. We can discard this. Thank you. My VM runs a little slow. It's actually, this is on my laptop. It's running inside my laptop, and I'm connected to my laptop because that one was working better today. If we go to customer management and customers and form view here on any customer. All right, so in here, what do we got here? Never have what I want when I want it. Let's go to the next window. Okay, there's info one, right there's info one. And over here, if I put Mill Creek, right, if I put Mill Creek into info one, I'm activating that promotion for that customer. Now, neat, fine. I have not found a lot of people use this promotion. This is really great on an exception basis, but it's really hard maintaining these lists. So this does not work for 1,000 items, right? It's just not going to work. It could work for a handful of items very well, in fact. But if you end up with 100 or 200 items in here and you have to go in and maintain, and when you change price, you have to come in and update these promotions to reflect the new discount price, you're just creating a lot of work for yourself. It's probably not a good plan. It's probably not the promotion for you. It's a good exception pricing thing, but I just have not been able to make that one fly well. Now, that being said, promotions, the next one is just awesome. Okay, this one is killer, and I use the heck out of this one. This one is so flexible and so powerful. The reason that it makes it's so powerful, let's click new, and let's talk about, we got to build one at least, right? So let's build one, and let's just call it 70 off, right? Let's pick a priority. Now, priority, I'm just going to put it at 1. Priority only comes into play if it conflicts with another one. And to conflict with another one, it's going to have the exact same name. So if there's some kind of hierarchy you're building in the V9 promos, and for instance, that subtotal BOGO we just talked about a minute ago, right? Last Black Friday, we had some clients who wanted to say, okay, if you buy $1,000, you get 250 off. If you buy only 500, you get like 100 off. If you buy 250, you get whatever you get, $100 off. Not even, probably. Actually, you get it was like $20 or something. I don't know, but it went down. The amount of money you got, the ratio of money went down. Now the problem with that is, if you buy $1,000 and it sees that if you buy $100, you get $10. Well, 1,000 is more than 100. You're going to get the $10. You're never going to get to evaluate whether you made it to 1,000, right? So what you have to do then is you have to give them the same name, call them Black Friday or whatever, and then say the $1,000 one is priority 1. Do the 1,000 first, then do the 500, then do the 250, then do the 100. So I don't qualify, I don't qualify, I don't qualify. Oh, I qualify for the 100, so you get the lowest amount, right? So that's when that comes into play. Otherwise, everything's a 1, right? In here, that's our company. I have 2 companies in my database. Then this is the stores, so you can have it affect all stores or specific stores, your choice, right? Easy. Then here, this is what the discount applies to. Now, you see what this database here was written for some folks on a tourist type environment where a given customer would only be on property while they're visiting the property, and then they would be, by tomorrow they'll be gone. So they're not worried about people that come back and keeping their four-ways fresh. They're worried about like striking while the iron's hot, right? So what they wanted to do is go in, and it's actually pretty brilliant, I gotta say. What they wanted to do is go in and pick a field and put a mark in it and be able to have that mark activate a rule that's already written. And we're going to see more of this as we dig into these other areas. But for now, I'm just going to say they picked Ox8, and it's not a bad field. It's a fine field. So we're going to take Ox8, we're going to add it. We're going to say equals. So if I put a 7-0 in that field, I'm going to activate this rule that I'm writing right now. Now I'm going to click OK on that. Now for this one, I don't, and I don't know why they put start and end dates on theirs. You don't really need them. So over here, I'm going to say 70, right? That's what this rule's about. It's going to look all funny for a second until I pick what that 70 means. And that's why promos is so cool right there. It can take a percentage off, it can take an amount off, or it can give you a specific price for an item. It's extremely flexible for just discounting items and filtering to a group of items. It's brilliant. It works splendidly. So we're going to click discount percent, and it's going to refresh back to 70. It's going to say 70%, right? Probably should pick my price level, although, we only use one. Most of us only use one, but I'll do the same as the other ones there, just to keep it consistent. Filter levels item. It could be switched to transactional, but we're not doing that. Pick a reason code to write to my sale, bind sale, right? I am not going to use a schedule. It's not starting and stopping, and I'm not activating the coupon. You don't have to know the secret coupon code to activate this deal, right? So that creates, let's walk through on writing a simple promo. All right, so let's go play here for a second. Now I think that this one here, 40 off, is written to already in here. So, all right, so since I'm out here, let's go check it. Let's go in and take a look. Was on the receipt screen, but then we had to go look at the customers, so we're off, right? So over here, you see Ox8 is, I just dropped it into our screen here before our appointment, and it's got a 40 on item 100,001. So we'll try this one here too. Let's put a 70 on 5, right? And let's back out of here. Let's go make a receipt. And really, for most of my clients, this is the way we should be discounting and doing markdowns going forward. It's just a lot easier, right? So 100001, promo window pops up, it evaluates it, and it gives it a 40% discount. See that? If I hop down here and I say 100005, it evaluates it, it gives it a 70% discount. If I say 100006, this one does not have a promo, it evaluates it and says, hey, no discount on that one, buddy. Right? All right, so let's take a look at some of these other ones here, right? So quantity discount, and while we're clicking in here, let me just click into a few of these. What they did is that since they're a resort destination, like a tourist attraction, right? And people are there for very short periods of time. They picked one field and they went through and put a bunch of rules on that one field. You see that? They just put a bunch of rules on that one field all the way through, right? So what that means is back here in here in Retail Pro, right? One, it's extremely easy to put an item into a markdown situation or a sale situation because you can just see it on your screen as a column right there, right? And if you put a $9.99 in there, then the price rule picks up and charges $9.99 for that. If you put a 70 in there, it goes 70% off. You put a 40 in there, it goes 40 off, right? So they have all the rules written already. They just go in and apply them in this one field, and they keep that. Typically, this is usually over like in this neighborhood here, right? So you can see the price and you can see what rule you're applying to it, and you can see really quickly that this is 40 and we're selling it for $10 or whatever, right? And it also, because it's one field, prevents you from obviously putting two promos on one item, right? All right, so that being said, let's pop back over to quantity. So in quantity, these are quantity discounts, right? So in these rules here, let's just pick one at the top here and let's go through it, right? So we got to give it a name. So 3 for $5 magnets, right? Priority company stores. In here, if Ox 8 says 3 for $5 space magnets, right? Then activate this rule, right? This kind of applies to. And a lot of these here, especially in BOGOs, we should probably. So they end up with two filters, like for a buy one get one. Let's just talk about that for a second. If you buy 3 bags of dog food, you get a dog treat for free, right? So you see, you need a filter on what qualifies it for it. Then you need a filter for what is getting the discount, right? So here you have to meet this criteria, and then the discount applies to these over here. But in this case, they're filtering for it exactly the same way, right? They're keeping this really simple, and that's to their credit. It's just easier on the head. So from 3 to basically infinity, they put 999 in there, but they could have put 999999, right? Nobody's buying 1,000 of anything, right? At this, it's a tour shop, right? It's a gift shop. So 999 is infinity, right? Then give them a discount type of, and this is I guess it's an amount. No, what is it here? Discount amount for 29 cents. Okay, so discount amount, they're taking 29 cents off. So they've got it all planned out. I don't know what their price point is on magnets, but obviously if they take 29 cents off, they're going to get close to like a $5 price point, right? So, so they've got it all mapped out here, is what I'm saying, right? The rest of this is easy. And again, I would actually probably not, I would not do dates on these. If these are ongoing, existing promos, then why put a date on them? Why have to deal with updating the date and make sure it doesn't expire? If you're never going to expire, then don't put a date on it, right? It's not rocket science. All right, so that's your basic quantity discount. Your price discount, I never really understood why this was even put in here, but the price discount is exactly the same as a promo in price mode, right? So if I built one of these promos here, and instead of putting it in percent mode, I put it in price mode, right? And applied a specific price, it would be just exactly like this here. Now, that being said, it does allow us to put the price ones in the price menu and the percentage ones in the promos menu, right? And that does make it easier to read for us human beings. And so, but this is basically the same thing here, right? We've got a filter that says if it says $2.99 in that field, then we're going to charge $2.99 for the item, right? Again, pretty much exactly the same setup here, except we don't have that drop-down menu to say what kind of a discount it is. These are all price. And it is nice and clean to keep them all in one pretty little menu. So can't really say it's a bad thing, right, to have it in here. BOGO, I think we all get what a BOGO is, right? So with a BOGO, now we're going to be saying something to the effect of, and let's just widen this out a little bit so we can kind of see what the heck we're doing, right? Okay, and okay. So we have a filter that says here that the description 2 must equal this value here, right? It could be anything we want. So if you buy, in this case, that item in a quantity 1, then you get an item that is marked that way there in Ox 10, and Ox 8 as a 10, right? Whatever. Quantity 1 for a percentage of 50% off. Does that make sense? Right, there is a 50, good. All right, so now, this now brings into question this field over here. Again, start date, start time, end date, end time. I don't need them. I don't need a coupon code right now. We need to talk about coupons, but let's not go there yet. Okay, so then BOGO and BOGO is reasons fine for the discount reason, right? But let's talk about this field right here. Apply to price optimized versus lowest versus highest, right? So let's talk about that for a second. So let's just bring up a little notepad and discuss it. So let's say we're doing a BOGO and we've got a few of these on there, right? Let's bring this down so we can see the rule in the background while we talk about this, right? All right, so buy one, get one half off, right? Okay, so let's say we have $79.99, right? And we have a $59.99, right? We have a $39.99, and we have a $19.99, right? So if we're doing it this way, let's bring that over like that. And this is going to go crazy. I mean, that's probably actually not bad. Okay, I can kind of deal with that. Okay, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas, right? Okay, so if I say lowest, the first one, then clearly this one here, right, and this one here are going to get discounted, right? If I say highest, right, then obviously the 79 here and the 59, right, get discounted, right? If I say optimized, then it groups the 79 with the 59 and discounts the 59, groups the 39 and the 19 in groups and discounts the 19, right? And so customers aren't dumb. If you set it to lowest, the first time they get hit with that one, they're going to just get in line and buy the 79 and the 59, then turn around and get in line again and buy the other two, right? So it's up to you guys what you want to do on this. Nobody goes highest typically. So I've had a few people go lowest, and they're willing to play that game with the customer, and that's totally fine. That's up to them. But optimized is how, when I was in retail and I was a store manager in a retail environment before, and you know, the customers would actually help you pair them up. Our software didn't do that back then. This was a couple of years ago. I might be old, but the point is that they would actually like set the shoes up there on the counter and say, you know, these two go together and these two go together, and we would just discount the appropriate pairs, right? So that's what the little thing does for that apply to. And by the way, optimize doesn't work for other kinds of discounts. You got to be careful. Leave it on highest or lowest for things that are not a BOGO. It breaks some rules, right? Okay, so okay, let's talk about this rule down here. Okay, so what I want to point out is there is no buy filter, but in the get filter, if you go in here, you can set this to apply reward to global discount, right? So if we do that, and then we come over here and say that use subtotal checkbox, and the threshold is $200. So when they buy $200, they get 10% off. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Hopefully it does. So that's how you set up that threshold thing in a BOGO. You don't have a buy filter. You just skip to the get filter, switch it to the subtotal, and then set your threshold and check off use subtotal, right? Okay, so the only thing we really haven't dug into is, let's pop over here to Retail Pro. Let's go to Form View, and we are in the wrong area. Let's get that out of here. Let's go to Receipts. And let's go to Form View. All right, so I'm going to right click, go to my page designer. I'm going to open up my fields box. I'm going to scroll down to the C's, and we're going to look for coupons. And we're going to left click and drag that over here on the side. Okay, so now we can toy around with coupons, right? We're going to save that. Okay, now let's back out to the main menu. When you modify a promo, even after you've registered and it's all installed correctly, right? You have to hit the main menu before it'll reread the promos, right? So if I go back here and I say that this 40 off that we just used a minute ago now requires a code of, oh yeah, right, it's angry because I didn't finish the other one I was in, right? We're over in here, right? BOGO save. All right, let's go back right here, promo and edits. Okay, and coupon code 40 and save. Okay, it's a little testy. If you start editing one rule and then you switch over and you don't save, it gets angry. So I had to go back and save the other rule before I could edit another rule, right? Okay, so now let's go take that item that we just rang up a minute ago. So here we are at the main menu. It should see the change in our rules. It should load the new rules now. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Sorry, we're running on a VM and we're remoted into that machine. So it's a couple of layers here going on, and the VM may be taking a minute to get loaded, right? So I'm going to click new here, and all right, we're going to go we're going to go 100001, right? This is the item that has the 40 off, and we saw it actually take the 40 off before, but this time it did not take the 40 off, right? So now if I go up here and I say coupon number, right, and I say 40, scan it, it reevaluates and takes the discount. See, now the only issue I found here is that, and I'm gonna stumble into this mistake. This box is a little awkward. You have to up arrow, and you'll see why here. I'm gonna leave it down. I'm gonna click tender, and it says coupon number field must have a value. So Oracle, we're connected to an Oracle database. When you down arrow in one of these boxes, it opens up a new record or a new query for Oracle, right? So when you scan this thing, you just got to make sure you up arrow if you're going to use coupons in V9. It's a little thing that they fixed in the next version, but they're not going back to fix in V9, and it's a small cosmetic. I don't want to say the B word, but it's just a little flow issue. It's like punctuation. You've got to get used to that if you're going to use this coupon field, right? So but now it'll let you go tender all day long. And see here it wants to, I guess we got a global discount in there too. Nice. Anyway, yeah, Rich, there's a whole global discounting war going on there between those two items, but let's not talk about that. This isn't about discounts at the moment. So let's discard that. And let's discuss the last piece here. So we've pretty much beat up all of these. I would agree with this here. In our outline, we put test because, and I probably should take a minute on this. Everybody screws the damn filter up, okay? It's like an ongoing theme with promotions, not just this version, by the way, almost every version of promotions. And it's not the promotions module as much as it is the fact that we're human beings and we're just likely to screw things up, right? So let me just give you a couple scenarios, okay? And see if you can follow my logic here and what I'm either doing wrong or not doing wrong, right? And we're not going to save this, but we'll set it up right to begin with so that at least it won't give us any hassles, right? So let's say I'm doing a department code, and it could be this department or that department, and I want a vendor code. Okay, so I've seen this. This is real, by the way. Now let's say that let's change that parameter slide. Let's say we want a vendor to be discounted, but not for two departments. Okay, so what I've seen people do is I've seen them go in like this, pick vendor code equals, right, and say a vendor code, whatever, right? We'll just throw the Nike in there. Okay, and then they say DCS code, right? DCS code is fine, and they say whatever. equals men's top T, right? Something like that. Okay. Then they say add or equals men's top polos. Okay. Okay, so I'm saying it's got to equal Nike. Okay, I screwed that up. Let's just go back and do it right. Let's double click this. I wanted to say does not equal. Right, okay. And then I wanted to say or does not equal, right? That's what I said in the beginning, and I did not put it in that way because I was moving too fast. But I say it's got to equal this, and it can't equal this or this, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward and clear. It's not. What's wrong with it? Okay, with and or logic. Okay, let's just open up a little notepad here. What we're really doing here is we're saying we've got here, because we didn't put an or in the top one, we've got a vendor code requirement and a DCS requirement of not equals, right? And then we've got basically, because of the or, a separate query that just says DCS not equal to something, right? So this is going to go totally nuts on you, right? Everything in inventory that's not that department code is going to get the discount. That's what's wrong with this. If you're going to do this scenario with and or logic, you've got to do it all the way, right? You've got to say that right there, right? You got to say equals this vendor code and does not equal this one here, right? And does not equal something here, right? Or, right? So the or gets shoved in here. And then we do the next query. Equals this vendor code and does not equal that department, right? See, so this here does not work. That's a death sentence. It's going to just, everything that's not that second department is going to get discounted. Boom. Okay. Another one I've seen that is brutal. So it's remove all. Yes, that's fine. And I've seen people do this here. I've said DCS equals, and they say men's top T, and then they say okay, DCS equals men's top polo, whatever, right? Okay, and then DCS equals men's top wovens. All right. Okay, so it just goes through and they say all the ones they want to equal, except that if you don't put the or in there, right, what you're saying is that a given item has to have all three of those department codes. Okay, no item can have 3 department codes. So that's a fail out of the gate, right? Nothing is going to get discounted because no item can possibly meet that criteria. See, so what they missed here was checking off that box, right? Where it really should say is this department or this department or this department, right, gets a discount. And we would continue and build our discounting percentages and all that, right? So anyway, back to the test. Go test. You write a rule, you go test it, and you make sure it works. And you test it thoroughly. Like you grab different items in different areas and test it. If you're trying to exclude something, you make sure you go test it and make sure it doesn't discount. If you're trying to include something, you test it and make sure it is discounting, right? You test these things. Okay. I think we beat that one up well enough. Cancel. All right. So back to the ever popular, truly exciting outline. So when we are ready to give these to the stores, right, we have to move list them down. Move list is a function of ECM or polling. So let's go minimize that. If I don't have an ECM here, Open up ECM. I think we can get rid of our silly notepad. Well, maybe not. All right, so in my polling, if I have station files, right, on the sidebar menu, I have a thing called move list. So I can open up a move list and say I want to make a new move list, and OK. And I want to move a file, so let's go add a file. And I want that file to be not a document design, but I want that file to be the RPro promotions MDB, right? So if I drop that in, then in my store, I would need to put the path at my store. So I'm going to need to know the path. Now, mostly when we install them, and this is a VM, so I only have a C drive, but mostly it's an R drive. When we do a standard install, to illustrate here, if we had a simple 2 workstation store, right? Let's say workstation 1, which is also called the master workstation, right? It has a hard drive that's partitioned into a C drive, right? And a little Q drive for recovery. I cannot write in this, but whatever, right? So then an R drive, right? Then we have our workstation 2. Typically, this is the slave. So the database resides here on the R drive, right? And so if this machine's not up, this one's dead. It can't do anything because it can't get to the database, right? So it's slaved essentially to the master, right? Okay, so on this one, the hard drive would be partitioned slightly different, right? We'd have our C drive, right? We'd have our little Q drive, and then the rest here would just be a D drive. And then we would basically map an R drive here, right? Typically, we'd map an R drive up through Mr. Router and down into this one here. So this drive here would be the R, but this one here would also have an R, and it would be the same drive, right? That's a normal configuration that we try to. There's been some exceptions to that in recent years, especially with the ransomware and mapping drives and that whole issue around that. So we've had to change some of the things, but mostly a lot of customers are in fact set up that way. Now, sometimes you get an exception, a machine dies, you put a new one, you buy something locally, and it's not set up the way we set it up, and it's got a different drive letter. You're gonna have to be aware of that then, right? When you're sending stuff out from the main office, you have to know your drive letters, right? At each store. So anyway, we copy this path here from here over to here, and then we make sure that the drive letter is correct, right? If it's a D, we put a D in there or put an R in there. But I mean, Retail Pro 9, RPro Prom, that's all gonna be the same, right? That's all gonna be there, right? So, and then down here, we check off who we're sending that to, right? And we click generate move list. Now see, the file is waiting here for the next polling cycle. Right now, once it polls, I'm going to delete this. It'll look, let's see, let's pop over here. So this one here, yeah, whatever, move list is blank. Okay, let's just circle around and come back here. Okay, okay, so you see, this is what it looks like when there's no move list, right? When there is a move list, that little box pops up and it shows you the move list, right? So after the next polling cycle, so here, this was still waiting, but after the next polling cycle, it would look like this. It would just push out to the remote and install itself, right? Now, that being said, you could use the move list for literally anything. For instance, if you install it, and really you have to install it, you have to register that DLL, right? So you're gonna have to go to each workstation in each store and register that DLL, and I don't see much way around that. While you're there, you could copy in the INI file. Once the INI file is created at the main, you want to copy this, put it on a little floppy disk or email it to yourself, and then drop it into this our promotions folder once you've got it set up. This has all your preferences in it about how you set the thing up, right? All that stuff we went over first is in here, right? So anyway, you could also move list this to the store, right? You could move list the DLL and the MNF to the plugins folder, but you can't register the DLL into Windows without physically going there and registering it. Another good reason to have remote access to all your computers, right? Okay, so right, so right. Once you install it, you will have to exit Retail Pro, of course, and relaunch it to reread that plugin, and or when you restart Retail Pro, it should well, the move list should go in there, should drop it in there during ECM polling. I mean, so I don't see any problem with that, really. I mean, it's a good idea to be out of Retail Pro, because what I worry about is if you're in Retail Pro and your promotions are activated, then it's very possible that that's holding the database open, and you get a sharing violation when move list tries to override it, if you see what I mean. So it's really a best practice to be out of Retail Pro at the end of every night anyway, right? All right, that being said, I think that's all I really have on promotions. I think it is the way to go for everybody, really, moving forward. I think putting rules into promotions, as opposed to having a flyer at point of sale where people are trying to manually discount things and look things up, that's way too slow. Just put the rules in. You can pre-plan this stuff. Markdowns and promotions can all come out of one place, and they can be automatic. So I think that's absolutely the way to go. We're doing it more and more, and it's really the only way to fly. The old-fashioned markdowns and taking a markdown and capturing all those dollars in the adjustment memos and stuff, it's a lot of work, and I don't see it as being as productive. This is much more nimble, moves much faster, and you capture the markdown as a discount anyway, right? So anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this if you're listening to it on the web. And this has again been Jeff at Big Hairy Dog, V9 Promotions. We'll talk to you later.